Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Travel Creator. I'm Laura. I'm a content strategist for travel influencers, and I show you how to organize your content in a way that your type A BFF would approve of. Okay, today we are talking about how to manage your workload once you're back from a major trip. Now, I know a lot of you are digital nomads, so this major trip literally never ends, but I also know there are times where you go on these sort of sub-adventures where you're going to be out of office, or you're going to be totally like on top of a volcano or deep in the forest, or just not able to work, do the things you want to do the things you need to do. I also recently released an episode on what it was like trying to run a business while living in a rooftop tent for 6 months. Yeah, that's a real sentence. That episode just came out recently, so if you scroll back a little bit, it'll be there for you. In there, I kind of just take you through what my personal experience was like, as well as just be emotionally available for you as well. If you are going through something similar. But in this episode, I want to give you some more actionable advice on actually how to manage your workload. And from my personal experience of living in that rooftop tent doing these things, I'm going to try and be as helpful as possible. But I would also love to hear from you. You are a digital nomad, damn it. You know how to do this thing a lot better than I do. So I would love to hear from you some of your favorite strategies on how you manage workload when you're looking at a beautiful thing that is just beckoning you to stand in front of it and admire it. And not your email inbox. That is overflowing. Okay, let's do it. One of my favorite ways to manage the overwhelm that comes with being back at your desk is first to ignore it. Okay, that is a real suggestion, like straight up 100%. I like to give myself buffer days. Okay, so let's say I get back on a trip on Monday. I'm not going to tell clients and people that I'm available or even back from the trip until Wednesday. So I actually give myself that buffer day on either end. I say I'm leaving for the trip a day earlier than I really am, and I say I'm coming back from the trip a day later than I really have returned. Because once you're out in the world experiencing the 3-day effect, if you don't know what that is, go Google it. You've definitely experienced it before. It's fantastic. And you come back to just an overload of information and chaos, you need time to just process, just have the time and allow yourself to sit on the couch, if you even have one, or binge watch your favorite YouTube creators, things like that, without the guilt. Because when you come back from your grand adventure, being out, and you're like, great, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow we hit the ground running. I've got 10 hours of work to do. Let's get it. And then that day comes and you're like, oh my God, I'm tired and my body hurts. And there's literally not even like a protein in the refrigerator, or I don't even know a cafe I could go to find what I literally need to eat. It's just unrealistic to come back from a trip and be like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's do the thing. So I give myself that whole entire day to clean the laundry, to set up a workspace, to, if I want to, perhaps glance at my to-do list so I can mentally prepare for the next day, which we will get into in a moment. But I give myself the time and the space to find the food, to clean myself and my belongings, and mentally prep. So now it's the next day. We have given ourselves the beautiful buffer day, or if you don't have the ability to do a whole day, honestly, 90 minutes could change everything, for real. Like seriously, just giving yourself that little bit of time to do nothing. It's called white space. It's fantastic. But it's the next day. We're ready. We are going to do a brain dump. Brain dumps save me from feeling incredibly overwhelmed and not being able to prioritize properly. By a brain dump, I allow myself to get completely messy. And I usually do this honestly by hand because I feel better because the ideas come so fast and I can't type fast enough. And it's like, where do I organize it beautifully? Whatever. That's my own internal challenge. But I like to do it on physical notebook paper. I just write down everything that's coming up right now, meaning like, oh yeah, I have to do that thing. And oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And that's probably due now. All of that, I'll just let it come out. And throughout the day, as you start to dive into work, that will keep coming. Those random thoughts of like, oh my God, I forgot to do that thing, that will keep happening and keep coming back to you as you are working through your to-do list. So just keep that open piece of paper, couple pages, honestly, and write down what needs to happen. And then once the first day is over, okay, so you've kind of done what you needed to do. So we've brain dumped and we're starting to work through our to-do list. At the end of the day, that brain dump / to-do list is a messy mess, and it is probably super overwhelming. So we're going to look at it and we're going to choose the top 5 most important things. And you can literally forget about the rest of the things until those top 5 are taken care of. Because I promise there's probably a lot of those other to-dos that are smaller projects as part of those big 5 tasks, that once you get those big 5 tasks done, those smaller tasks are probably obsolete. So you're going to prioritize those top 5 items. Now, during this first day as well, at the end of this first day, we're going to look ahead at meetings, obligations, appointments, things we need to physically show up for the rest of the week so that we're not caught by surprise. Speaking of, oh my God, I'm having one of those moments right now. This is crazy. Okay, live. I just came back from an entire day of travel and I'm a little disorganized right now. And I just remembered that I have a meeting today. Just remembered I have a meeting sometime today. And I don't know what time it's at, especially because I moved time zones and the host of the meeting is not even in any of the time zones I was just in. So I have to think about that. I need to go figure that out. See what I mean? The things come up as we start putting our heads into other things. So we have our top 5 priorities now, and we're going to look ahead at our day, our next week, and figure out where do I need to be and when. And then I just remembered something else I have to do. Shoot. Before that meeting I was talking about. We are actually going to now time block. Time block has been super helpful for me. If you've never tried it, I encourage you to give it a try. It's absolutely fantastic. Basically, you just assign a task to a specific amount of time because there's something called Parkinson's law. So, for example, I have to record a podcast episode today. And if I didn't time block, meaning I wasn't going to give myself between 9 and 10 a.m. to get it done, and I just knew I had to do a podcast episode today, it would take me all fucking day to do it. Because Parkinson's law is that when you have a task, it will fill the time allotted for that task. So if you give yourself all day to do it, it's going to take all day. Similar with our goals. Side note, if you give yourself a year to hit a goal, it's going to take you a year. If you give yourself 6 months, it's going to take you 6 months. Insane. We love to trick ourselves. Okay. Now that we have this big mess of paper of all the things we need to do, we need to add them, organize them, add them to a place that makes sense for you. We need to, maybe that's Asana for your to-do list. Maybe that is a Google Sheet. I don't know. I don't really care. You need to add that to a place that makes sense for your brain. And it's going to be not a fun, shiny, new Notion template that you saw somebody have that looks really great. It's not going to be that. It's going to be the thing that you know you will use. Like if you're a Google Sheets person, amazing. That's fine. We won't tell anyone. If you're a Notion person, fantastic. Put it in there. But now we need to look at our to-dos and figure out, like I said, what's most important, what's not, but also when do those things need to be done by? Do they have due dates? Are we starting our week on a Thursday when we should have started it on a Monday? Currently, that's me trying to literally do about 40 hours of work in the next 72 hours. Yeah. So we need to figure out what needs to be done when, what is actually most important versus not, what can hang out a little bit longer, and where are we going to be organizing those to-dos. Doesn't really matter where, it just has to be someplace that you will actually come back to and look at. I think the last piece of advice I'll give on this topic as someone who is chronically chaos is to give yourself grace and time. We don't give ourselves enough grace. We don't look down the mountain enough at how far we've come. We just keep looking up at the peak at how far we have to go. And that is damaging in many ways. So this is a little reminder to look down the mountain. You just probably went on an incredible trip. You just had perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime experience with people you probably love or love now. And that was freaking cool. So, like, let's be grateful for a second that we even got to do that. That's so freaking sick. And now you get to go and be able to give yourself time to have grace to then do the work when you can show up best. That is something a lot of people wish that they had. That is a lot of reasons to be grateful right there. Amazing. So if you have the time and space to journal or move your body or honestly sleep if you need to, that's amazing. You should do it. But just remember to be graceful with yourself. You're a little delicate flower when you come back from a trip, okay? We need a little water. We need a little sunlight. We need a little nap in the corner, okay? So give it to yourself, and I promise you will bounce back better than if you forced yourself to just push through the tiredness and the overwhelm. Because now you've prepped your mind and body to face the challenge. You know it's going to come. You got it. Rather than jumping right into the deep end and drowning. Whew. Okay. I hope this was somewhat helpful for you. Like I said, I would love to hear your strategies and tips of what you do when you first come back from a trip, and how to deal with all of that chaos. Genuinely looking for tips myself. But that's a little process of honestly what I do each and every time I come back from a trip. Those buffer days change lives, okay? They literally mentally, because when I come back, I'm like, oh, cool. I know I have so much to do, yet I don't feel that overwhelmed by it because I know that I will get to it. But I also know that I need to rest for a second. I need to just regroup. Traveling takes a lot out of me. I'm also a person who just needs like their little corner to just be alone for a second. I'm an ambivert, so love the people, but I also love my quiet time. Okay. I would love to hear from you on Instagram. If you are enjoying the podcast, what do you want to see? I freaking appreciate you so much for listening. You have no idea. Genuinely. That is so freaking cool. I am grateful for you, and I hope that you have the happiest week of creating content. Just remember not to create too much because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And that's coming from the girl on the other side of travel content marketing. Okay. I love you so much. I'll see you next week.